You said at my leisure.
I gotta click the button.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the December 15th Board of County Commissioners Workshop. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing we have on our agenda are updates, and today we have Sheriff first, Coroner next.
Morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
I don't know. It
Happy
might started
Monday,
awful
how's that?
early, so it's still morning. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, just to give you an update on the four vehicles that were replaced earlier this year. We've had a lot of some issues with them, just so you know. There's been a couple of recalls. We had one of them that had gas vapors that were coming up into the interior, and come to find out it was a faulty valve that they had to go in and replace. The second one was it would start when it was cold, but it wouldn't after it was warm. Taking that in, apparently they found out that they had to remove the exhaust, the muffler, rear drive shaft, fuel tank, accessed and removed and replaced the low fuel pressure control regulator, and reinstalled all the components before it would work. So I just want you to know that there's been issues with these Dodge vehicles this year. Okay. I don't know what plans there may be in replacing any of the others, but I would ask that at least I have some input in what those are. I explained earlier this year when we had an emergency out on the lake. Two of those were the only two deputies that were working driving those vehicles. We had no way to tow the boat down to the marina to launch it to get there. And we had to call in one of the search and rescue people with a truck with a hitch to do that. Another thing, when I had to impound a horse after arresting the person that was riding the horse that had a felony warrant out of Kansas, had no way to transport this animal to the fairgrounds or anywhere else. So they are issues that we've had. But that's what happened this summer. I couldn't be here the last quarterly meeting, but other than that, we have 250 jail compliance regulations that we have to work on, that I'll be working on along with the detention division supervisor, starting January the 2nd through June the 1st. 250 of these are the new jail compliance as required by the state. There's already going to be several variances that have to be filed, that I'll have to file with the state. That a couple of them will probably be permanent requests for variances. Others can be temporary, but it just depends on how it goes. But 250 of these things is going to take us a while. One of the most important things is the pod size. There's nothing that we can do about that, and we're not the only jail that doesn't meet the new state standards. Okay, I'm just saying that be aware that if you ever are going to build a new jail, you're going to have a lot more of an expense in it because of all of these new compliances that are
The
out there.
jail safety standards, right. So in Montezuma County, it can say Marriott by Montezuma,
It should be. It very well
which is
should be.
ridiculous.
It is. It is
Trust me,
ridiculous.
we're well aware of the jail standards, and we're
Yep.
looking at everything that we can do. But here again, it's collectively,
what it
when you
is.
don't fund something that you pass legislation for,
Yep.
how do you expect it to happen?
Exactly.
So,
The same
Copy
thing,
that.
yeah, the same thing is going to be true with, I don't know what's going to happen with the legislation about any of the lawsuits against some of the firearms bills that were passed earlier this year. One has to do with what goes into effect on August the 1st that requires the sheriff to have a certificate to be issued to those that go through all of these checks, and these are adults, in order to buy any of those selected semi-automatic firearms. The problem that I have with this, and I'll tell you this right now, is that once that is done, the state creates a database with those people's names in it. That to me is completely wrong. And I can't afford to do all of the things that they want to have done. It's another unfunded mandate. And it's just something to let you know that that may not happen. It's not right to put people's names in a database for a firearm that when it's lawful for you to obtain and possess under both of our constitutions, and it is a problem. So I certainly hope that gets overturned, or at least amended. This is creating problems for every sheriff in the state. That's what it was directed at. So I don't know where we'll be, but I'll find out when it gets closer to that time. Okay? All right. Any questions for me?
Jail numbers?
What's that?
Numbers in the jail?
Oh, we have 78 today.
78?
We're running right about there to about 85. It fluctuates, as it does every week, but not bad. There is a juvenile trial that'll be taking place the first week in January. I will have to tie up 4 of my detention deputies rotating this juvenile for this trial that'll be here. There's temporary housing, again, at the San Juan County Juvenile Detention Center in Farmington, which saves us having to travel back and forth to Grand Junction.
Okay.
So,
How many DOC holds? Hopefully none, but how many do we have?
6.
6?
6?
Yeah. We had
Long-term
8
or are they short-term?
2 weeks ago. They took up in this last snowstorm. Yeah, but we have 6. So, all right.
Are they long-term holds or are they going to be?
It's up to DOC how long until they accept them. So far, it's been rotating about every 2 weeks. We're able to get rid of them. We're not hanging on to them that long anymore like we used to. Yeah, thank goodness. But
2
it
weeks.
still takes up room, and they don't reimburse the way they're supposed to.
No.
Okay.
Which is another issue that we'll be
It is.
taking up.
It is. All right.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet. Okay.
I've got a question or
Sure.
more of a request. And this came from out and about, but can we get more of our deputies on the county roads instead of within the municipalities?
They have been on county roads.
Okay.
Why are they not?
Just a request,
Oh, they are. They are.
that we see them more out on the county roads instead of in the municipalities. And I realize they have to get to the municipality because we live within the municipality. But just that we have more of a visual effect out on the county roads. Just an ask. I'm not asking you to defend it.
Well, I'm
Just
going
an
to tell
ask.
you that that's what they do. Okay.
Okay.
Our busiest sector is the southwestern portion of the county. The next is the northwestern portion. Okay. Those are the 2 busiest sectors that we have. And most of it is in the southwest. Yep. Okay. So they do come through Cortez,
No,
north
I'm-
and south. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Coroner.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So far, the year has been a little bit higher than last year. For coroner calls, we're at 124. Last year at this time was at 108. Hospice calls are up 10 from last year. Suicides, knock on wood, we're down. We're only at 6 so far this year. We've only had 1 holiday suicide, and I'm hoping that that's going to be the end of it. But 6 suicides for the year. Last year was 11. Motor vehicle accidents, we're up 3 from last year. We're at 7. Last year was 4. Homicides were right across the board with 2, and overdoses were down 1 from last year. So, and I got my new floor in it, and it's amazing.
Good. Good.
Autopsies are down. We've only done 1 autopsy in last 2 months, knock on wood. Deaths haven't been down, but been a lot of elderly with natural causes, so no need for autopsies, so that's a good thing also.
Were there any other capital items that we talked about or that we need to talk about for your portion of that building?
Don't believe so.
We're back up to snuff and
We're back up to snuff, have
good to go.
everything back in, good to go, no issues, everything's good.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it, George.
you bet.
Landfill.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's pretty straightforward, as you can see on the sheet. It's a standard 5% increase on except for the ones that say same. Don't want to increase those prices if we can. We have enough problems with people throwing stuff in the ditches now. And we're covering our cost is where they're at. The big significant change would be on BCS oils.
Yeah.
We have to treat that like regular MSW, so if we want to put that price the same as MSW, we could, but it has to be treated the same way.
How much of that do you get a year?
Very, well, right now, very little. And we're only allowed to accept so much based on how much waste we take in. So I think we took in 22 yards here in the last 2 weeks is all. We had a guy that was going to bring us 2,700, never told me anything about it. We didn't have the capacity to handle that much soil that fast. So I sent him somebody else.
Okay.
But the problem with PCS oils, unlike regular MSW, is I have to cover that with soil. I can't use the spray on it. So it adds to an extra cost. So
So then these just give that 5% increase to what you have
right, I
delineated
I
here?
attached the
Yep.
deal to it. All those prices on there, except for the ones that say same, are a 5% increase.
So the next question I can see them asking us is, what's the surcharge for? Is that a fuel surcharge or is that?
That's CDPHEs. We have to do a quarterly surcharge payment to CDPHE based on how much waste we bring in.
Okay.
Same goes with PCS oils.
Okay, so my only request is on the bottom, it says state surcharge is subject to a charge after January 1st. Is there anything else we could be more specific? Or is that, I mean, for me, I understand it, but for the average person?
What do you mean?
Well, you have your asterisk up here, and you have an asterisk down here below. It says it's a state surcharge and subject to change after 1 January 26.
So they
Or 16,
change
I'm
the
sorry.
surcharges from the state from time to time. They changed them last year.
Okay,
It's not much, but they do change them occasionally, just like they do tires. So the amount we pay for tires. Oh, we don't have to pay them, but retailers do. That's just the state fee that we charge. We have to send them a check every quarter based on what we received in that quarter. So, and I think it's around $8,000 every quarter that we have to send them. But thankfully, we've gotten a lot of that back in grants because that used to fund the RREO grant.
mm-hmm.
And we've got 2 nice pieces of equipment back from that, so That's all changed.
What about electronics, Mel?
I went through that in pretty good detail. We're doing fine on that.
Okay,
No word from them. I've called them on, see if they're gonna raise their rates. No word on raising their rates. So unless they raise it, I don't wanna raise ours either.
okay.
We're covering our cost and we're getting by with a little bit in the black on that. So I don't wanna raise anything that would, like I stated, we got enough problems with people throwing mattresses and TVs and stuff in the ditch. I'm trying to eliminate that as best I can and keep that stuff as low as I can. I mean, we hear it all the time complaining about, well, I ain't paying that. Out the door they go, and pretty soon you see it in the ditch.
Yeah,
So as low as we can keep them and still cover our cost, I think that's where we need to be, especially on that kind of stuff.
Last question I have is that we talked to a company at CCI that had the, and I don't know, maybe, did you get that?
We've already got it addressed, sir.
Okay, so for the recycling,
Oh,
Portion.
we're waiting on a response from them.
okay.
Okay.
I came up last week met with Phaedra, and we went through all that stuff, and we had an issue with their program, sent in a work order, and they're on it. We're just waiting on them to reply.
Okay,
So we're up and running on that, is waiting on the state as usual.
okay. All right, well, good, that was really the only question that I was gonna have.
I did raise wood chips from $5.25 to $10 a yard. You can see it there on the sheet. We're having a big problem with, it's not a problem, but people wanting just 1 yard. Well, I gotta get somebody, and they gotta drive all the way around over there to get some, and we're losing money. $5.25 is pretty cheap.
yeah,
It's not a big deal when they come in there with a semi and we go over there and load up 20 yards,
yeah.
you know. But, and we can take some more wood chips if we got some more.
Oh, we can maybe get you some more, maybe, I'm looking to my right. I would get you about 150,000 tons if you could take it, or, I'm
We
sorry.
can't take that much.
sorry,
but I
cubic
could probably
yards,
take
not
30 or
tons.
40 semi-loads.
Okay, I can certainly
Because-
let, the
We've
attorneys
sold-
know.
Yeah, we've sold out on most of all of that the people want. What we have left is stuff we're using on roads to help people get in and out because of the mud, because it's got those big veneer chips in it. They don't want those. They want the finer ground stuff. So we're running out of that.
Okay,
So I'll say we think we can take between 30 and 40 semi-truckloads of wood chips? Okay.
Yep.
Because I think what was chipped up there, if I remember right, the count was like 910 loads specifically, and those were all chipped. So there's a lot more than that up there.
Is it where I can drive in and look at it? Okay.
You can't
You got photos?
enter the property, but you can see them all from the roadway.
Well, what
And
they
they-
want is the smaller wood chips. the
They
big
are.
veneers.
They were actually, I want to say it was like 910 loads of the veneer that was scattered throughout the property. And then they came back in, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and they actually turned them into small piles of
The
chips.
chips are even smaller
Yeah.
than what we thought they needed for biochar, so they're smaller chips.
Oh, that'd be great.
And they're all in piles, just, well, they're not little piles, but
They're in piles.
they're in piles. Go
We can
look
take
at
some
them.
more. We
So
got rid of most of,
That's why I'm looking at the attorney to say, hey, let's get things cleaned up.
we can take some to help, so.
What else do you need, Mel?
They're gonna make their decision. I got an email this morning with a PowerPoint from the guy that wrote the original Rule 31. And they're gonna be making the decision the 19th, but it's gonna be the same as the number 4 errata that they sent out, which will put us into a monitoring stage, but we have 3 years to comply with that. So I'll have to get our engineering consulting firm to draw us up a plan and map and procedures and the equipment to start air monitoring.
So, so my question to you, Stephen, is gonna be, when the state does not fund these types of unfunded mandates, are they just a suggestion, or are they actually law? Because it's not codified as a law. So where do we stand?
Turn this back on. What I can say is that there's that statutory provision that says,
Yes.
you know, if these state requirements are not funded, they are not required from the local governments. What happens when that's the case, or how that's asserted? None of that's really been developed yet in the law in Colorado. And so, you know, to the extent that that's something that's going on, I would just say publicly, that's something we would want to be very mindful about how we navigate something like that. We'd probably want to coordinate with other counties who are going to be similarly positioned, because that's going to be new law that's being developed about how all that works. And the one case on the topic that now I think is about a year old is that Yellow Scene case out of Boulder County, which wasn't like super favorable to the local governments, as I'm remembering just off the top of my head. So, I mean, that's going to be something that's going to be figured out, I think.
I guess what I'm saying is that we're not monitoring it anyway, because
No,
we are
no,
monitoring
In
it.
fact, I just did a monitor
It's just
last
that
week.
our levels are at such a minute level to increase the cost of this new monitoring system seems egregious.
It does. Well, and we're gonna, so in March, I have to do a tier 2 test, which is a very intensive test. They actually come out and they drill. They drill holes in the old landfill, they drill holes in the new landfill, looking for methane. And they will find some. They did last time, but it was very minimal. That tier 2 will tell us a lot more about what we're gonna have to do. But they're basing this monitoring on tons in place. So if I have 450,000 short tons of waste in place, then we have to monitor. Well, we're at 1 million. So,
I would say keep track of your time and your costs and expenses. So if it comes down to it, we can send them a bill.
well, it's gonna be an expense because, I believe I sent you the email from our consulting and engineer firm. It's rough estimates, but it's expensive. And we have to have somebody certified to do this.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be another expense with that, not to mention all the reports. It's gonna have to go along with it. So it's gonna be a lot more detailed than what we're doing now. But everything that I test now, I test, there's like 12 or 13 places on that landfill that I have to test. Every well, the landfill, the face, the leachate pipes, inside the building and everything. I don't detect any methane
Yeah.
with our meter that we have, and never have. So this will change, and they're gonna fly over the landfill with air to detect methane. So they'll be doing that too. Hopefully our D8 doesn't break down again and we can start putting our foot of soil on it that I've been planning on. So we're still trying to get our fluff layer. Our D8 went down for about 3 weeks. We got about 3 more weeks of fluff layer we gotta get put in,
Okay.
and then our D8 will be freed up.
So, just a quick question, if our machine is down for 3 weeks and you needed to do that, we can still go rent one?
It's not that critical.
Wasn't that critical?
It's
Okay.
just the fluff layer. We get it as we can. I mean, and when it's super muddy, we
Yeah.
turn the trucks up the hill anyway. rather than try and tear up equipment, dragging through the mud and stuff. And we're almost done. We'll be done probably the first week of January. Then I'll have to rent a LGB dozer to push the slope up and have the engineers down and the surveyor down to verify that we did our 5-foot fluff layer and our intermediate cover and all that, and send the report to the state. So hopefully we'll get that before we have any major snow, but having that cell open with those heavy rains didn't help matters at all.
Yeah.
So, but we've got the leachate pump back down. The pump's running constantly right now,
Hmm,
so.
okay. I don't have any issues with the 5% price increase. I think if we keep them minimal as we go annually, it's better than,
The very last item on there, the biosolids, that 980 has been there for I don't know how many years, and I checked around on a lot of places, and they charge you by the ton for biosolids. And even at $15, we're way below everybody else. So,
so why wouldn't we change that to a ton price? You have a scale there.
well, we could, we also use that. I don't wanna, that's a huge jump for a company to take. I don't wanna take that massive a jump to somebody, because some of them are charging $30 to $50 a ton for that. But they're putting it in their landfill, I'm not. I'm reusing it.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there. So that's the cost, I mean, we'll be fine with that. I don't wanna make it so expensive, because that puts the burden on everybody that lives in the city
No.
too.
Yeah.
I understand that, but how are you're charging by the yard. You
Yep.
have a scale so you can make it accurate per ton.
We
We're not
can, and we do
guessing.
weigh that.
If it's by the yard, we're guessing.
Well, we charge them for 10 yards, every load. That's a 10-yard dump truck, that's what we charge them for. If we do it by weight, which we can,
It's just more accurate. Because if you're guessing, you could be 10, 11, 12 yards, or you could be 8 yards.
it's
I'm
pretty
just saying it's-
consistent. I mean, the weights are always around 17,000 pounds. I mean, it's always real close right there. They do track it, because we have to report that to the state.
Right. I just, if you actually have a scale and we actually have an actual number,
We
I
can do it by the weight.
would
if you
rather
want.
see actual real numbers instead of guessing plus or minus on either side.
We can do it by
I
weight.
mean,
if you
that's
want.
just my mathematical brain working. I've got a scale, why not? I mean, we had the same issue with water. We set water rates at the same. So if you've got a residence and you've got a residence, we charge you $30 for the fee.
Mhm.
Okay? Well, this guy's got 10 people living with him and 20 relatives, and this guy lives by himself. Not fair. You've got a scale, why not use what they're actually bringing in?
Well, we can. Like I said,
I'm
it's
just-
always very close. It varies minimal. But if we want to do it by weight, we can definitely do it by weight.
Well, I'm one person, but close is good in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Y'all have to let me know what you want. I can change it.
We'll have that
And
discussion.
the other, when I called around some of these places, their rates varied depending on who they were. So I didn't agree with that.
By who they were, you mean local versus,
This way, it's just a rate. It's the rate set,
It
and
should be a
it's,
flat rate. in
it's
my
a
book.
ton. It's a per ton rate, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's straightforward. It's a
that's what
per
it should-
ton rate.
Yeah.
Drive across the scale, whatever the,
We do a lot of soils by yards. I think that's when whoever set all this stuff up 30, 40 years ago, did the biosolids by yard, and it's been that way.
I understand that, but we actually have a certified scale. And the certified scale is certified quarterly, or?
Yep. Well,
So
at least twice a year.
why are we guessing per yard? When we have a certified scale that we can say, you owe X.
We can do
And
that.
I'm guessing, well, okay, you owe Y. That's where I'm at. Like, why not use real math when we have real math?
That's fine. I just need to know what you want to charge. It was always charged by the yard before, and it was a 10-yard dump truck.
I understand
That's
that,
how-
but guess
that's
what?
how-
Depending on the material that goes in my 10-yard dump truck, I can get a lot more than 10 yards in there.
Well, I understand, but this is
Okay,
a
that's what I'm
dedicated dump
saying.
truck
To
for
be
biosolids.
fair to everybody, it should be by weight.
We don't do PCS soils by weight. Well, we will.
We should, well, we
We are
are,
going to now,
Okay.
yeah.
because that can vary quite a bit too.
Yeah.
It says per ton. So why would we
It
go,
used to be by yard.
Can you get us something for tomorrow for the tonnage? The cost for the tonnage on the biosolids? That way they have something to look at, apples to apples.
Well, calling around 30 to 50 yards per ton. And then they add a surcharge and environmental fees on top of that. So you, instead of doing $15, $150 a yard, or for a 10-yard dump truck, if you raised it to $30 a ton, and they're doing about 8 tons per load, that's a humongous increase in cost.
I'm not, I mean, you can work that math backwards too.
Or you can.
And say the math in a 10-yard dump truck is gonna be 2,500 pounds per cubic yard, depending on what they're bringing in, right? So you can work it back and make the math work to the $15 a yard. But at least that way we're charging collectively by the ton. So if
We
they
can
pack
do
it full, it's by the ton, it's not, I don't know.
Work it out.
If I'm by myself, I'll stop, but it's,
Work it backwards and see what it would be a ton to get to your point.
I can do that.
Okay.
That's simple.
because if it's wet, it's gonna be a lot more, and if it's dry, it's less. I mean,
That's true.
there's just parameters. It's tons of what we're bringing in. And we have a certified scale. Why would we have everything else per ton and not this?
I don't know why it was set up that way. I can answer
Well,
that.
I'm
Way
thinking
before
it's
my
time to change it.
Yeah.
And we can do that.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mel.
Thanks, Mel.
Fairground, your turn.
Noon. So it's been a quick year for us, pretty much. It seems like it's just kind of flew by. We did close the fairgrounds down to equine events here last month. I think it was the 21st of November, and we did just open it back up this last Thursday to basically the open riding and you know, small practices, things like that. We're going to continue to kind of keep it closed for overnight stalls, just to kind of help keep any kind of outside sources of, you know, if there is any kind of equine herpesvirus, which is what was going around coming into our county, then maybe we can kind of just keep that out of our fairgrounds if we can. We did kind of up our biosecurity measures a bit out there just to kind of be preventative. We got done with a junior rodeo just before we shut it down, so we made sure we kind of went through all our buildings, really disinfected, cleaned them up, and then daily we're just kind of making sure manure's not laying around. We're disinfecting a little bit more, so I think we're pretty good moving forward. And then our next big event's not till the middle of January, so we'll just kind of see what everything looks like and see if that needs to be postponed, canceled, or what happens when we get to January. So
Have you heard, Commissioner, anything else? Is that equine
equine herpesvirus,
Is
yeah,
it
EHV.
floating around here, or is it?
No, it just settled down. Really, it hasn't broke out anyplace else or anything, so.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've heard too. It doesn't seem like it. And there's no mandates from the state. They're just basically saying to keep up with your biosecurity measures.
That's
you know.
what's happened before
So-
when these outbreaks have occurred before. They'll occur someplace like that, and then these horses go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They quarantine them all,
Yep.
and basically it ends.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I don't know.
It doesn't manifest itself somewhere
No,
else.
and it seems like a lot of the places are starting to get back to going too. I know there's a couple I think here close by that are still kind of closed down, but it seems like everybody's starting to try to run their events again. I think they're just kind of controlling the big ones a little bit more than some of the small stuff. But over the last quarter, we've had a lot of our normal stuff going on. The commodity giveaway, that's now going on at Good Sam's, so we don't have that out at the fairgrounds anymore, and it hasn't run out there the last couple months. Back in September, we did have the Colorado State High School and Junior High Rodeo again, which went really well. The CSU did a hot water bath canning and food preservation class out there again this year, back in September. We did have a couple new events come in. The Extreme Arena Cross and Freestyle Motocross was back on September 27th, and that actually turned out pretty good. And they're wanting to try to run that again this year if they can, so we're kind of hoping to look at an annual sort of deal for them. We also had a Swim Spa and Hot Tub Expo out there this year. That was back on October 10th to the 12th, and that might be something that comes back in again next year as well. So a couple new things that we haven't seen. We've had some little stuff like the barrel races still. The Vision Dog Agility Trials, they did cancel their October 31st and to November 2nd one this year, just because they didn't have enough participants basically to make it happen. But they're still looking at a couple dates again for 2026. We did do a breakaway rope and jackpot back in November, and in that 4 States Junior Rodeo before we kind of shut it down to the equine stuff. December 3rd was the Futures Fair out there at the fairgrounds, which was put on by the Southwest Education Collaborative, and they've done that. I think this was the 3rd year in a row now they've done that out there at the fairgrounds. We've also had a couple practices starting up just before we kind of shut down, and so they haven't been running, and they'll probably start looking at, running practices again this week, for our 4-H horse and roping practices and things like that. Kind of coming up, what we're seeing for the rest of December, there is a CART training, which is, I believe it's Community Animal Response Team, that Mr. Spratlin is kind of putting on, that they put on at the fairgrounds. The goat tying clinic there at the end of December, that's probably just going to be a one-day deal now, kind of a small little thing. The Cortez Fairgrounds Speedway is going to do their race banquet in January. They're in one of our meeting rooms. 4 States Junior Rodeo again is going to be that 3rd week of January. 4-H is doing some leather craft classes out there on a few dates coming up this next year. The Livestock Association is going to do their annual meeting again out at the fairgrounds. That's going to be February 14th this year, where they do their annual meeting and banquet, which I believe you guys all were part of last year and will probably be again this year, I suppose. And then we'll have another 4 States Junior Rodeo again in February before we kind of get into March, and then March is kind of when we start to get into our big events where we start changing things around, and the Ag Expo's pretty much upon us again. Fair board meetings do run out there on the 3rd Monday of each month, so tonight is a fair board meeting out at the fairgrounds. That's kind of it for our schedule coming up. We do have the contractor that's going to be doing our ADA parking lot. He's looking at coming in probably sometime after Christmas in January to start maybe doing some work on our west side of the building, doing a little bit of the concrete work before, while it's winter time. He's willing to kind of work with our schedule fairly easily, get some of that done. And we do got a couple breaks coming up in the springtime where they might be able to do the actual asphalt part in the north side. So kind of communicating with him, keeping in touch, and it looks like here in January, if the weather holds up, they're gonna try to get in there and actually get some of that started. So that's where we are with that. That's really all I have as far as updates.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay,
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
very good, thank you. You are next. Yes, sir. You are next.
Afternoon,
Good
Commissioners.
afternoon.
Stephen, Mr. Anderson. Excuse me. So for the public again, and anybody's on, they watch it, my reports monthly. It's on the website under services. They can see every report every month. I know you've read it. Just got some highlights. Moving forward, Homeland Security opened up their grants. Need to spend some of it by August next year. So I put out quotes for the fence. This is no match funding. Homeland Security goes through different fiscal agents, so we don't have to deal with all the paperwork. I got funding for a new fence that the feds approved, FEMA approved, everybody approved for our Dolores Tower out there, so I was waiting for that to open. I got the bids coming in now. They're due by tomorrow. Went out and did a survey with all the vendors, so we won't start that until April, but we'll have a fence up around it. Also received $30,800 for a new generator out at the Dolores site, because that one's leaking and it needs replacing. So got funding for that, including install, removal of the old one and everything. So got all approvals. And then the funding for the alternate EOC / media / training room / whatever for the fairgrounds. I got that funding back, so I've got, the guy just called me. He's got a quote for that. It's sole source. Again, it's Homeland Security funding. So we're going to put in a little pad and some HDMIs. I got the TVs already, put them on rollers, and it'll be a nice center for continuity of operations for you guys. If something happens to the building, good for training for, you know, whatever, for our employees, and then it'll be a good media center. We've got 256,000 we submitted to Congress for congressional spending, and that's still in the works. So if that comes, then we're gonna fix the room up, put some splitters in, or splits in there, and floor it and the whole bit, so it'll come out pretty good. CERT and CART. So the CART training's canceled December.
I thought you was gonna go in with the goat tying.
We are, but June.
Okay.
So we'll work on June. And because we have a CERT team and a CART team, and we're training 2 times a month, and now the CART team's up with training for animals, they're going to learn about everything else. So we're joining the 2 teams together. It'll be 1 training a month, and we're all going to do it together, and it'll take the load off of the instructors and everybody else. So that's moving forward. And then just a lot of planning, a lot of stuff going on. The emergency alert system, as you heard earlier, is in progress. Department heads are trained. They're going to get familiar with it. They're training their key people, and then we hope, I don't know, probably just after January 1st, we'll get the employees on it. Hopefully by February, it'll be a all done deal, and then we'll start doing fire drills and evacuation drills and get used to using that system. So it's a really good system. So it's going to work out good. And I don't know, you read my report. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one.
Okay.
Can't go without asking this.
And it's not on the front anymore, so.
No, it is not on the front, which is very good. You know where that was going to go, and I'm not even going to ask that question
Yeah,
because you already know what it is.
yeah.
So, part of, we still get these alerts on our phones for the siren being tested in Dolores.
Yes,
And again, I ask myself, if I hear that siren going off, what does it mean?
correct.
It means the siren's going off. Is it noontime? Is it 8 o'clock in the morning? What does it mean?
Is it
Do I
lunch at the
stop?
depot or
Do
what?
I call Ghostbusters? What do I do?
Everybody go to the depot, get a burger.
So, I
So-
guess for the county,
Yes,
I know it's a municipality thing, but at some point in time, there's got to be some kind of saying that this is a fire, this is a flood, because it could be either one or the both there.
correct.
What is it? I guess since you're the emergency manager,
Great question.
why are we still under this?
I have
we
the
got this
answer.
cool siren. Perfect.
I have the answer.
Bring it on.
So I talked to Mary Ann, prior mayor, left a message for Lee. We have a protocol. It was supposed to be on their website because the alert says, go to the website, but there's no button that says siren or something. So I'm going to work with Lee on that and make sure that the protocols are in there. The protocols are, because people don't know the different, it has 8 different blasts if you want to send them out, and no one's going to know what blast means what. So when that siren goes off, that means shelter in place, and you will get an emergency alert telling you what areas, what to do, whether it's an evacuation, a flood, whatever, but it'll tell people just to shelter, get away from anything, shelter in place, and then the emergency alert system will kick in, whether you signed up or not. It's like Amber Alert, and I will circle an area and tell everybody, or I'll tell everybody in that area, they can hear the siren, and I'll say, all right, we have a hazmat situation, we have a fire that's running, the river's coming up, whatever. And then here's the instructions with a map. They click on it, it'll show the zone that they live in, so you don't have to try to figure out what you're doing. So all that will go out. So that's the procedure. It's just not well known. And last week I worked on all of that, and we're going to continue to work on that so that the public knows what to do. And it says in the procedure, wait for the alert, turn on your radios, any radio, and everybody should have some kind of AM, FM radio, and it'll come out on an EAS system where it'll broadcast it on the radio as well. So it's set up, it's just not well known. So very good question.
Not well known.
The siren does shut off now.
Yes, it does,
Okay.
and it's working rather well. Yeah. Every week.
Every week.
And if I could,
Which still creates a lot of questions. Is like, why is the siren going off? And I'm like, that's a good question because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It's because somebody wanted a siren, and they can make it go off.
they
every week.
wanted the siren, so they test it monthly, and hopefully that goes to every 2 months. Make sure that CenturyLink, the phone call system, the dispatch can hit it. So we're trying for different means on trying to turn that thing on.
So we might want to, and I know it's not really up to you, but the community keeps asking.
Right.
And it's, in your words, not well known. I would emphasize that it's not known at all, except for by 1 or 2.
Pretty close to that, yeah. On my research, yes, because again, I assumed, and you know what that happens. So
Well,
we're gonna fix that
If you could,
communication
if
gap.
you could work on that
Yep,
to make sure that we get that.
still working on it, and
I
we
mean,
will,
just so that people know really what does it mean? What is it for?
we'll get a button out there, because the
Yeah.
protocol's there, it's just, I don't know why. So because we're the county, we can even put it on our website that says Dolores Siren button, and then when you click on it, it'll go to the procedure. So people know, so,
Okay.
yeah, good.
so
wanna-
at what
I wanna-
point does the Chicken Little effect come in,
I agree.
So many
There's-
tests, they just, another test, see you later.
Yep, yep. And if it doesn't go off at noon and it goes off any other time, then it's real. But again, and trying to, if I could, I would circle that area
Yeah.
and let those people know and not the rest of the world. I'm still working on protocols with FEMA and IPAWS, whether I can do that or not. So, but for now, it's just.
There
the
is
alert.
part of the rest of the world that does go in and out of that community.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah.
on a daily
so-
basis. So if we all don't know what's happening, doesn't mean anything.
Correct. Yeah, and it would go out on a real-life situation. It would circle the areas that need it, and it would also go out to the regular users. So you would get the full system. So,
I won't ask the other question.
no, that was a good question. I had an answer for it. We're working on it.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thanks. Okay, 3 more bullet points. Hey, you're doing great. Is that why I have planning in here? Well, come on down. So this one's going to be a discussion as it's related to affordable housing proposition signed by the Colorado Governor. Stephen, Jane, and Don, take it away.
I'm going to be mostly relying on Don for this one. I think he's more of the driving force behind this resolution.
Yeah, so, excuse me, this is all part of the Prop 123 affordable housing. The commitment we signed to, from our perspective, was just to not hinder or get in the way of any developers that might show up on private property, because we have no property to develop for housing. So our commitment is that there will be 59 affordable units by the end of 26, which we have no control over. But in meeting with DOLA and going through this in October, late October, they sent this out. They have their standard resolution format for counties or municipalities to adopt if they already have the regulations that they can follow for an affordable housing application, which would be basically a subdivision. So I went through and converted all of the mayor and board and all of that to the county commissioner, so it meets our county language, but it's basically per statute, per DOLA's template, and from everything they've told me, everything that I've been able to research, that this is an adoption that needs to be done by the end of 26, but they have an incentive bonus. If we have it done by the end of 2025, there's a $50,000 no match grant that they can award to planning. Now I asked them if we had to be connected to another grant in a grant cycle applying, and from all indications they said no. So basically it says that if we have an application for, because in this grant operation that they have for Prop 123, a developer can sign up and meet certain criteria. They get reduced loan percentages through grants, through DOLA, through the whole operation, which we're not involved in. And I doubt there's really going to be any developer that comes through the county for this. But if we get $50,000 with no strings attached, then seems pretty simple. And if there are strings attached, and we see what those strings are, and then we just decline the grant. But I have not found any entanglements with this. We're still under the same commitment of allowing for affordable housing. I've contacted some contractors that have actually do meet the criteria on stuff they've sold, which is under a different category of just like open market sales. So we could have, I don't know, maybe up to 10, 12 that meet that criteria, and we can share those with the city of Cortez for them to meet their allocations as well.
So would that be deed restrictions?
No,
No?
it's strictly on price of sale. They've got a scale, a 2-bedroom, they qualifies as a 4-person dwelling, and if it sells for approximations, if it sells for less than $426, then it falls within that affordable category from DOLA. A 3-bedroom, which is 6 people, If it's less than 535, it falls within the category of affordable.
So as far as to us, the county, there should be no strings attached to this because we did pass a resolution on Prop 123 just so that we wouldn't be in the way of any of the municipalities.
Correct. And all this
So-
says is that we would process any applications within that 90-day time frame to not slow down their process, their progress.
Stephen, anything at all?
Excuse me. Terribly timed sneeze, sorry. Yeah, I haven't done any of the conversations with DOLA that Don's talking about. So I'm not as up to speed on kind of the background on this, but, just reviewing the resolution, doesn't seem really committed to anything. Don thinks it might make us eligible for this grant possibility. Like we've kind of talked about here today, our approach has basically been that our current sort of approval process is already an expedited approval process. How DOLA thinks about it and defines it in this context. And so what we're saying here is basically, our kind of status quo approach is kind of what the state wants us to do here to facilitate the building of affordable housing. And then, if that qualifies us for some kind of grant from the state, then we might get that, is my understanding. Mostly relying on Don, having done the talking to DOLA on this.
Question?
Yeah, having read through it, I don't see anywhere we would step off into any quicksand down the road. I mean,
No, there's no commitment.
it's
It just
just
says
me.
that we'll process applications and
yeah,
we
Which we
could,
do.
we can definitely flag one if somebody comes through and has, 10 lots and 5 are gonna be affordable. We'll set it up so it meets the schedules, which we normally do anyway.
yeah.
Okay. Very good.
That's what I know about it.
Okay. Thank you.
And per Travis, we're not getting committed into any matching grants for planning.
There's always strings attached.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Dietrich, I don't see him in here, so,
I'll do this one, Commissioners. He is out. We've talked about this in the not so recent past. This is just IJ with county and High Desert Conservation District. They are wanting to take over the cost share program. We allocate $10,000 every year. What we would do is transfer that $10,000 to them, and they would manage the cost share for the county. That's pretty much it in a
remember the
nutshell.
conversation, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It basically just takes it off our plate.
Takes it off our plate, and they want to manage it.
Commissioner, you know more about weeds than,
No, it's good.
okay.
No, it's good.
Okay, very good. All right, last one is the resolution opting out of the requirements for the Colorado Wildfire Resiliency. Stephen, I guess, I didn't realize this was an opt-out, but go ahead.
So, yeah, it's a little bit of an opt-out because basically this law was passed now quite some time ago, and then this the Division of Colorado Wildfire Prevention and Control was asked to promulgate these regulations, right? And so that's taken some time, and we've had some discussions over the last few months, kind of as these requirements were coming out. We've had some discussion about that. And in July, when we talked about it, we had a discussion where the board indicated they were not really interested in, developing some kind of in-house system for processing these kind of issues. Montezuma County generally, doesn't have a building code. Our planning department expressed that they're not really able, from a staff perspective, to spend a lot of time doing this. And so we've put together, and I've also just been kind of sitting on this, kind of seeing if there were going to be any more developments on this issue, and there really haven't been as far as I know. One thing that I think is notable, and I want to point out here in this resolution, the scheme for how this is supposed to work is there are various governing bodies that have responsibilities under this code to do this processing. But what's interesting is that to the extent that county governments are governing bodies, the way that's defined is it's for areas of the unincorporated county that are not covered by a fire protection district. And so for us in Montezuma County, I don't know if it's literally all of Montezuma County, but overwhelmingly Montezuma County is covered by fire protection districts in the unincorporated parts of the county. And so I think it's possible that Montezuma County really isn't even a governing body as it's defined in this code. But in talking with staff, even if we are not, the idea is it would be helpful to just have something on the books that says, hey, listen, we're not the place to come to get permitted for your home improvements or home construction or whatever it is you're doing under this code. And what the county is doing by passing this resolution is saying, hey, pursuant to these regulations, we would just ask that the Division of Wildfire Prevention and Control kind of take over this process for Montezuma County as a governing body, if we have any responsibility at all. And there are technically some downsides to that in the regs and in the law, where it's contemplated that as a governing body, you get basically an appeal process, where if you wanted to make your own regs or ask for exemptions, basically things like that, as a governing body, there's a process to ask for that from the state. But if we're not doing any regulation on the ground, we kind of forfeit that right, and any fines that would be assessed, we don't collect, because we're just kind of taking the county out of that process. And so that's what I understood the board to be wanting to do. And again, I think it's possible, actually, we're not really being asked to do anything the way that that governing body is defined. But just in case, the staff, particularly Mr. Spratlin, expressed that it would be good for the county to just have something that if people come calling or looking for information, we've got something that really clearly says, hey, Montezuma County has decided not to get in the business of enforcing or regulating this kind of construction out in the county, and instead you've got to go to the Division of Wildfire Prevention and Control for this kind of stuff.
Which was part of the whole discussion that we had at the DFPC, because the DFPC also has not enough staff to take this on. Because it's now some of the municipalities that sit within the WUI, they can adopt it and they may have the capacity to do that, but we don't. And the DFPC, as far as the meetings that I've attended, they don't have the capacity either. So no, I think this is right on. I saw Delta County and Teller County, I think, just also pass some or sign some resolutions that I saw in the last week. So you might look at those also. But for us, I think this is pretty straightforward. That I kind of hate putting it back on the DFPC, because they already don't have the capacity, and they're not. I mean, they're fighting fires, not regulations of. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just on that issue, talking to the fire districts that we have, all 5, they're not doing it. They're going to opt out, and I recommended for them to make sure that they opt out through some type of letter or something to DFPC. So they don't have the funding, unfunded mandates again. So it'll go back to DFPC, and not necessarily that special enforcement DFPC, because I talked to Logan, and he said, I know a little bit of it. We don't do anything. They fight fires around here. So it's a different entity that's going to be doing it. And we were talking, it looks like April 1st, the jurisdictions can adopt the code or not adopt the code, right? Opt out. And July 1st is when the jurisdictions need to be compliant. So it sounds like it'll be in effect July 1st. But I did already hear that someone was asking me, and that's where it came. People are asking me, what are you going to do? You know, I got a call from the electric company who said they're going to put in, you know, lines, and they said, we're not allowed to put them on overhead now. They have to be buried, and it costs more money. I said, yeah, apparently utilities are already aware of it. So a lot of this is going to be information that we don't have. I mean, I've read the code, and you get cross-eyed, and I'm reading it again, and then they have the financial part, how they're going to sort of fund it, but yeah. So that's, trying to keep up with that was a headache for, you know, all of us trying to read it, and I can't even see us funding 2 full-time people to keep it going at the minimum, right? So I think this is a great idea.
That was always my conversation at the state level with them, is that not just our county, but a lot of other counties express the same thing.
Yep.
We don't have the capacity.
I think the ones that have the capacity, La Plata County's going to do it. They've got extra people, but I'd say the majority out of 64 counties.
I think
They're not
for
gonna do it.
us is that we need to get the information out and try to educate our people here instead of try to regulate them, because there is some good mitigation factors in it. And if you are part of the WUI, which probably the biggest part of our county is in a WUI, that we educate them to make sure that they're doing the proper mitigation, but they can do that themselves.
Correct.
Because all we have to do is educate them instead of regulate them. So I think we're right on track.
Yep, and we had that discussion with Wildfire Adaptive Partnerships, because they got that grant, and they have the means of at least fire mitigation around properties, you know, with a co-share. So they're getting that word out as well, so to assist people on mitigating that side, maybe not building a roof, but, you know, taking care of the other stuff. So we're working on that as well.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Yep.
Okay. We've come to the end of our agenda, gentlemen. That's all we have for today, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.